Yo, everybody. Welcome back to That Amazon Ads podcast here with another episode, giving you your weekly dose of Amazon Ads education. I'm here with my co-host, Steven. How you doing tonight?
Doing well, man. A little bit frustrated over this topic as we were preparing for it. Not totally sure either of us really have a firm grasp on it, but we are hitting the record button and we're really going to need the help of our community to help us discover findings because our research, from the number of accounts we've access to and with the types of campaigns we have going, it's a limited database. We had a lot of discussion going on in the Discord around this breaking news with Amazon and some conversations on LinkedIn, but the conversation's far from over. So drop comments on this video to contribute to the cause of trying to uncover what the heck is going on in search term reports for sponsored products with product targeting and search terms, which is the topic of today.
That's right. Really jumping the gun on this one. The news just broke today, I believe. Was it this morning that came out? I'm not totally sure. But yeah, really jumping the gun, trying to get this out as quickly as possible, share what we're learning from some of these new updates that Amazon is pushing through, and confirming some of the preconceived beliefs that we had about things. So excited to dig in and share some of the data that we've been able to uncover around this topic. So we're going to be talking about Amazon's latest edition, adding adding reporting for product targeting search terms. So you can now see when your sponsored product targeting campaigns are delivering on search terms or getting ads triggered in search queries. So confirm something that we've kind of always thought, but yeah, excited to dig into this one.
So let's not make this intro too long. Let's just dive right in. So I want to kick things off by first saying that I keep a very close eye on the Amazon Ads News Center report, like the official news from Amazon on stuff. So whenever there's an update going on, I'm usually aware of it. And this is something that they did not announce. They said nothing about it within the last 24 hours. People who were in their search terms, who were digging through their search reports, started discovering this interesting fact, which is when you are targeting a product. So you've got a product targeting campaign going, you're targeting different ASINs, competitors, maybe it's brand defense, who knows. And they're starting to see that the search term column on the search term report is showing individual search queries, where typically before that, if it says you're targeting this ASIN, under the query column, it would just show that like the search term was that ASIN, just meaning like, yeah, you were targeting the ASIN, your ad was triggered by that ASIN, because that's the point of the search term report, right? It's just to show you any potential differences between what you're targeting versus what's actually triggering your ad to appear. As obviously by this stage that you're listening to this podcast, you're familiar with the match types and targets and search terms, so we don't need to rehash any of that. But it's certainly an interesting thing. And Andrew, this is something we've seen on sponsored brands before. So this isn't new in general to search reports, but what have we seen before on sponsored brands?
Yeah. So we've been kind of seeing this same exact thing where when you're targeting ASINs in your sponsored brands product targeting campaigns, you can see in the customer search term, the actual search queries that your ad is being triggered by. So people come into Amazon, they go to that search bar, type in a query, and then your sponsored brand ad is delivering. So we're able to see that data of where our ads are being triggered and see where we're showing up across different searches. So this is something we've been able to see with sponsored brands. The latest release though is just with sponsored products, which going to be super important. That's where a majority of people's spend is primarily going anyway. I'm sure there's a lot of people utilizing product targeting that will be interested to hear some of the findings that we've figured out just in this first day of digging into the data. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I think the first kind of core concept for people to understand is that product targeting does not equal product page placement. So I think we've probably clarified that, I think, on previous episodes, but a lot of people need clarification again because everybody always thinks like whenever they're seeing another product and they're like, oh, we need to put our ads on this product page or whatever, they're always thinking of doing product targeting to win those placements. But the fact of the matter is that placement on Amazon is different from targeting. So whether you're targeting products or whether you're targeting search terms, your ad can appear on in either the search term pages or either in the search engine results page or on the product detail pages, no matter whether you were targeting a product or a search term. And if you don't believe me, this is fact because it's in Amazon's official documentation around each of these topics. But even more so, if you just want to do a little research yourself, if you look at a search term or keyword targeting campaign and you look at the placement settings, you'll see you're appearing on product pages. And if you look at another campaign that's only product targeting, you'll see that you're on the placements, you're still appearing on search. So the big question though that we always had was that if you are targeting a competitor's product, for example, and your ads are appearing in search, what the heck is the customer typing in the search bar that's getting my ad to appear? And for sponsored brands, it was pretty easy to see that because that was exclusively how these search term reports came through. Whenever you downloaded a search term report, and by the way, this is not new. This part's not new. This goes all the way back to 2019. This is something we were familiar with, where if you download a search term report, then I think 2019, pretty sure, pretty old. Whenever the sponsored brand search term reports came out, that was one of the first things that we observed is that you can look at the product targets and you'll see that for the search term column, it's showing you the exact search queries that are triggering your ad to cause it to appear. So yeah, Andrew, what else have we have a couple other things here. What else have we observed?
Yeah, well, just to piggyback off of what you're saying, you were actually like one of the first people to call this out. I think we could go back and fact check that. Look at that article on LinkedIn that you wrote. I'm not sure when that was, but that was quite a while ago. So yeah, this
I
is
did
something
write
that
that
I know.
report. I forgot about that. Let me go. I was passionate
Yeah,
about this one day because people didn't believe me. They were always arguing. They're like, "What are you talking about? Keywords equal search, products equal product pages." And then I wrote this article. Sorry to interrupt you. I was just going to try to
no, you're good.
pull it up because it's pinned on my profile. So this was in January 13th of 2020.
Nice.
So over
See,
four
way
years
ahead of the
ago,
curve.
over 4 years ago, I wrote this article and people still don't believe me. But all right, sorry, keep going.
There's no excuse not to believe you anymore. I made a post today on LinkedIn that said there's no more valid excuses for saying that product targeting is just product detail page targeting. So we fact checked that at least to the degree that we can. So that's good. Yeah. So in terms of this kind of new development, what I'm seeing in terms of the accounts that I'm working on and just in this first little pool of data is that it's primarily what I'm seeing anyway is there's a little bit of differentiation between what type of product targeting you're doing. So within product targeting, you can do exact match product targeting, you can do category targeting or expanded product targeting. Those are your kind of different match types, if you will, for product targeting. So within the data that I've pulled and also just some people interacting on LinkedIn, I've basically seen that within sponsored products, the amount of keyword searches that are being triggered in product targeting is a lot less than what we're seeing with sponsored brands. And there could be a lot of reasons, and we can maybe dive into that and like why we think that could be. But in general, I was expecting the product targeting campaigns to be getting triggered by search queries a lot more frequently than what this data is currently telling me. I'm seeing on a couple accounts that sponsored brands almost exclusively being delivered on keywords when we're targeting product targets and much less allocation to keywords within sponsored product targeting. And I'm seeing no spend on keywords within expanded product targeting. This is a little bit more of a limited data set for me. I don't have a ton of expanded product targeting running. Most of it that we have set up is exact. So might be a little bit of a skewed data set. So I don't know for sure if expanded is showing up in keywords or not. But exact match definitely is showing up in keyword queries. And then that category targeting within product targeting is also triggering search queries. So I actually didn't hear that one. I got that one from a comment from one of the followers of the podcast. So thank you for that. But curious, Stephen, is that what you're seeing on your end as well?
Yeah, so I was digging through all of my search term reports and got the same thing where only if you were targeting uh, a product, an individual product with the product targeting exact match function or whatever Amazon calls it,
Hmm.
those are the only occurrences where I'm seeing search terms or search queries appear in my search term reports for those product targets. Not seeing it on category targeting, and I'm currently not running expanded product targeting, so didn't have any samples there. So we have yet to see any examples of if this is also occurring on expanded product targeting, but we are hearing from others in our Discord community that the category targeting is also appearing. So yeah, the to me what makes this really interesting is that, and this is I think part of the what Amazon typically does with these big updates is there's like a rolling release of stuff. So maybe not everybody is seeing this in their reports just yet, or maybe this hasn't even fully within the our own accounts search and reports. Maybe they haven't fully rolled it out. What I'm actually trying to do now, and sorry, I kind of got distracted mid sentence, but because both Andrew and I are saying that when the queries are coming through for a search term compared to a product target, it's a very, very small amount of spend. It's like, what percent were you seeing, Andrew?
I was seeing 2% on this one account that was on about $100,000 of spend on product targeting, exact product targeting specifically.
And how long was your look back, your date range?
30 days.
Because what I'm wondering is, what if this just started showing up within the last 24
Short.
hours? And that's
Yep.
probably why. So I just started generating a new
Ah,
report. That's going to be a daily report for the last 30 days. So I can see if there's a
cool.
specific date when this started occurring. But
Nice.
back to what I was trying to say is that in these reports, one of the kind of interesting observations that I imagine I will be getting out of this is that whenever you're going after different product targets, there are different suggested uh, CPCs for different product targets, right? And some product targets are a lot more expensive. And my question was always, why are the CPCs on this product target more expensive than others? Is it because people are bidding? There's a ton of people bidding against this product target that's driving up the CPCs, or is it that this product target is indexed in a lot of very competitive searches with a lot of competitive keywords behind it? And so you're actually seeing like kind of on like the other side of this of this like wall barrier thing that you can't really see what search terms this product target's being indexed for, but you can just kind of see, oh, it's really big CPCs. It's likely getting indexed in competitive terms, or maybe it's branded terms. If you're bidding on a competitor's brand, Amazon's usually going to charge you a bit of a premium on those CPCs. So if this is if this other product that you're targeting, if that product has a lot of branded search volume, and that's a big driver of their total like traffic to that product, that could be something that would drive up those CPCs potentially. So now it looks like we're starting to actually look into that, and it raises another question for me, which is, will we be able to negate certain keywords from product targeting campaigns? Like, say there's a product target that I want to go after, and every search that it's indexed for, except for the branded searches. Like, I don't want to be hitting this one if people are actively searching for that brand, but in all the other kind of non-branded searches, I would like to be targeting that. So those are just some things we're just starting to like think through applications, and that's one thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So on that exact topic, this is a good bridge for one of the points that I took away. I was trying to think about some other applications for how I might use this. And the first one was kind of what you were mentioning. Number two being if I'm doing competitor product targeting, I'm going to be able to see if my searches are actually getting triggered in branded queries. So you can actually look at this now and you can see, and I actually found a couple instances where I had a non-brand or competitor product targeting campaign set up. And then I was looking at some of the individual ASIN targets and was seeing that some of the branded terms were getting triggered under competitor ASINs. And so in that case, you actually can, and I didn't see this a lot. It was only in like specific campaigns where I didn't have brand terms negated. So if you're doing competitor product targeting, there is this risk still that you could be having those ads get triggered by your own branded queries. So you can actually
Mhm.
eliminate that risk by setting campaign negative keywords within your product targeting campaigns. And when I was checking it, all of those campaigns where I was seeing those branded queries get triggered, I didn't have brand negated. There was like one or two where we had just kind of missed a couple campaigns where we didn't negate those brand queries. So you do have that ability to negate keywords from product targeting campaigns. And this new report also gives you that insight to see if you're actually spending on branded terms where you don't necessarily want to be.
Yeah, that will be something that we have to explore and test. I'm very curious if that works. If you negate a specific keyword at a campaign level, because I'm actually seeing, yeah. So in that daily report that I was talking about that I was going to download, the earliest appearance of search terms appearing for my product targets is February 3rd. So it started happening at least since then. I'm not sure. I don't really have too much data since then, but I also wonder, like, if you're doing like brand defense, and you're going after your branded ASINs, I'd be very curious to see, like, for those brand defense campaigns, how much of that product targeting is coming from searches for your brand, if you're a brand that gets a lot of branded search volume, versus non-branded stuff, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
here's kind of like my major takeaway. At the end of the day of all this, to me, what this what you should be what how this episode should be helping you is it should be shaping your understanding of what product targeting really is. Because everybody thinks product targeting just means you're landing on that ASIN's product page. Instead, we have to think of this as product targeting is targeting a batch of keywords. So that individual product, based off of however Amazon's indexed it, whatever's keywords are in its title and its bullet points, that is a batch of keywords that you are telling Amazon, hey, I just kind of want to phrase match all these keywords, this whole like pile of keywords. Whatever this product's been indexed on, that's what I want to be going after. And I think what happens in actuality is your product is just following their product around Amazon. You're just kind of like stalking their product. Wherever their product appears, your ad can appear next to it, whether it's next to it in search or on that actual product's product page. That's kind of the idea is you're just stalking that other product around. But I like to conceptually think of this as basically just targeting a batch of keywords, and you're gonna, wherever that product, whatever's that product's eligible for to appear on in search, that's where you're trying to bid.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. I think from what I've looked at so far, it's very very limited in terms of the keyword list that is actually being triggered by ASINs in most cases. It's like three, four, five keywords maybe, and not all of them are always those highest volume ranked or highest volume search terms. So I'd be curious to see if this data, you were talking about being able to see which keywords and like the keywords that are being triggered are probably the keywords that index or that this product indexes best for. I'd be curious to compare that with Helium 10 because you can basically figure out what keywords a product indexes for with a quick search on Helium 10. So I'd be interested to see if that kind of maps closely or correlates closely in any way to the actual indexation. That could be one potential way for us to check and get an idea of what the queries are being triggered or why they're being triggered when we're targeting that ASIN, and if we can potentially spot some correlations there. Yeah, I just think that based on the data so far, and this could change as we go forward from here, um, it looks like when you're targeting product targets, you're actually not showing up in searches and on search terms quite as much, or at least not as much as I thought. I figured it was a lot more, and it was more closely to what you were saying, where you're like following that product around in searches. But it doesn't seem like that's happening as frequently. And maybe, I don't know, maybe there's something um, that we can discover that could help maybe increase that volume of spend on product targets going to keywords, help with a little more keyword discovery or something. But based on the data, it doesn't seem like that's happening as as much as I might have anticipated.
Well, all of this is very interesting to say the least. There's certainly a lot of questions, I think, still kind of floating around our heads at least. Number one is we're very curious of is are these search reports any indication of placement? Like if there is that one-to-one match where it says this is the ASIN you targeted, this is the ASIN that was triggered in the search term. Does that mean that you landed on that ASIN's product page? Or even for these category, if you're category targeting, doing these category, yeah, targeting strategies, and you're seeing individual ASINs appear in the search term report, does that mean you are appearing on the detail pages for those ASINs? Or does that mean that you're appearing in search next to those ASINs? Or do we only assume that your product targeting landed you in search if there's a search query associated with that product target? Now, I think part of why we're seeing so few search queries in these reports is because it's so new. So I think over the next several weeks, we'll start seeing a lot more of this stuff come through. Like we said towards the beginning, with sponsored brands, it's 100% exclusively search terms, which is interesting, right? Because sponsored brands can appear on product pages, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally. It's yeah, almost exclusively those product targets in sponsored brands are going to search terms, which would kind of make you believe. And we were just checking before this, like we looked at that breakout between keywords and product targets being triggered, and then we looked at a placement report, a sponsored brand placement report, and saw that about the same amount of spend was spent at top of search for that same date range. So um, it could be indicative of placements, and we could utilize some combinations of reporting, search term report with a placement report to kind of gut check and get a gauge of how accurate that is, and if it is indicative of the placements. So stay tuned for that. We'll definitely continue diving in and bringing you the latest.
Yeah. Also, Andrew, I'm on the page of some competitor ASIN that apparently I'm targeting. It's like it's not super accurate to what we have, but it's some scaffold tool holder, and I'm getting lit up with display ads for vanilla pea protein for one of
Hmm.
your clients. So
Why? Don't
you must
know.
have some retargeting stuff going on there.
Maybe.
uh
Does it look good? Does it look good?
it looks
Is it a
irrelevant,
nice
that's for
display?
sure.
Oh, dang it. Shoot. Well, you work out, dude. You need some good protein.
From
Keep
vanilla
it top
from
of mind.
peas. Vanilla pea just doesn't
Yep.
sound good though. By the way, I just recorded a lengthy tutorial video for how to bulk launch sponsor display retargeting campaigns using multiple different timeline lookbacks. That's exclusively for the masterclass. I don't know if we ever mentioned that before when we said that the masterclass was out, but if you get access to the masterclass, you have lifetime access, including all additional content. We're not done building the masterclass. It will never be done. We'll always be adding more content to it. So if you're curious about how to bulk launch these sponsor display campaigns, like what Andrew has going on here, even though he did it without my help, yeah, he didn't need the tutorial. But that is in there just as a quick aside. But I get distracted here. The I do wonder. I'm not seeing any actual sponsored brand placements on this detail page in particular. I was only seeing those sponsored display ads. So,
Hmm.
but sponsored brands can appear. Oh, I'm seeing sponsored brand videos now
You
where
can
it
see
says
them lower on the
similar
page.
brands or sponsored
Yeah.
brands. Yeah, they literally call them sponsored brands. So yeah, there's just a lot of stuff out there that's going to need some further research. We're going to need more data. We may need to, if you guys want us to do another episode on this after we get more data, then leave some comments and so forth. But otherwise, we really need your guys' engagement by telling us what you're finding. Jump in our Discord and help us discuss this topic, or leave comments on this video, ask questions. We're very active on replying to everything. As far as I know, I don't think we've missed. I do not know of any comments or questions that have not been answered, whether on our podcast or on the YouTube channel or in our Discord?
Well, there was one reel that we posted that was a little more, could be taken as political potentially, and there were a bunch of irrelevant comments that were coming through that were all like,
It
"Oh, I
was a
hate this
PPC
guy," or
meme.
like,
It was a PPC meme
yeah,
featuring Donald Trump, and
yeah,
somehow we got indexed for like a political campaign. Got
oh
caught up
yeah.
in
People were going
a
off
storm.
on us. They did not like it. They did not like it.
Oh, some did. Some were just like, "Yeah, this
Maybe
guy's awesome."
those are the only ones we maybe didn't respond to. So good job,
Yeah,
Steven. You're killing it, man.
thanks. All right, well, so that's all we got for you guys for today's episode. Just some really interesting stuff. So go into your own reports, dig around, see what you're finding. We're going to be testing out if we can potentially negate certain search terms. And overall, this is just going to go to further deepen our strategies with product targeting, whether you're going after competitors or if you're going for brand defense strategies and targeting your own products. So, Andrew, I'll let you give any concluding thoughts and then you can send us out of here.
Yeah, excited to see this. It'll allow us another layer of depth into our data that we can kind of use to inform strategy going forward. It's pretty cool, pretty fun. I always like stuff like this. Amazon releasing new stuff. I love cutting through that data. So this has been good. We'll be sure to keep you posted, and all these updates obviously going in the Discord first. I actually posted about this first earlier today. So if you jump in there, you're gonna get the breaking news first.
Right.
So jump in
Because by
there.
the time this episode is airing, it's probably
It's
been
like,
like 3 weeks.
yeah, at least. So that's it. All right. Come back next week. We'll talk to you then. Thanks so much for tuning into that Amazon Ads podcast.
Peace.